No shit. Yeah, that would be by definition like more parsimonious. Okay, like just think about this. Like, so like if your deist view is common deist view, right? If it commits to supernatural entities and it commits to natural entities, then it's going to be the case that there's two sorts of entities on your theory, right? But and then the next reason why your theory is going to be less simple is like think about God being brute, right? I can just say like the initial state of the universe is brute, just like you're saying the initial state of God is brute, right? There's nothing prior to God.
Well, then you'd be
God. There's nothing. Wait, real quick. There's nothing prior to God that tells you why God is the case. So it seems like you just added an extra step, right? I'm just saying the first brute thing is the universe. You're saying the first brute thing is God who creates the universe. You're just like adding extra steps.
Wait. So now you're saying the first, because you never gave specification to like what this naturalistic brute thing was. So now you're saying the universe is brute, right? In the sense that it always existed, correct?
I mean, yeah. Under your definition, that'd be brute.
Wait, but that's not going to be. You're gonna have to. Yeah, you're not going to be able to say that because we already went over how space is contingent and the universe is just going to be space and time as we know it, right? And the collection of all matter, right? So you can't go back after we literally.
I mean, like I'm just saying, like if you think it's an explanation to say like these sorts of things, like God would be independent, for example, I can just like mimic that explanation. Do you know what like a sucking horse projection is?
Yours has issues, mine doesn't.
Yeah, what's the issue?
Your issue is that for you to posit the universe as an explanation, it would have had to always exist, right? Which we already talked about how an infinite regress can exist, nor can a space without time exist, right? So,
okay.
What are we talking about? So yours has issues, mine doesn't.
Kind of like a claim, right? Like you're saying X cannot be the case. That just sounds like modal talk, right? So I would just need like the contradiction with it. But in any case,
I never heard there was a contradiction. Like I don't have to invoke some possibility. I'm saying that we already
point that my view would be more parsimonious.
Wait, the whole argument that I laid out is that it's going to be more improbable, right? When the conditions for causality to come about aren't met, and causality still existing regardless, right? So let's not hedge and go back on what we were trying to argue because we already went past that point. Right, you didn't contend it further.
Okay, look, I'm just saying that the explanation that you're invoking, I can just sort of like mimic all of it, right? And just like
you can't do it. You can't do it. All the things that everything that you've tried to mimic either doesn't have equal explanatory power, as I pointed out, not factoring the fine tuning, and for two, right?
We already went over that, right?
Literally, hold on. I didn't question bag. I did not question bag because you tried to put out my position, and I said that's not what I said, and then I clearly laid it out, and then you went and shifted to a different point, talking about you can mimic what I said with the universe being eternal. That's when you gave specification to what this naturalistic thing would be, right?
So look, fine tuning. You brought that up. You said that specifically with fine tuning, it would be the case that. Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. That in virtue of fine tuning, I'm like I just fucking lost my train of thought.
Here, I'll help you bring in track, right? So what I was saying, right, was that you can't mimic my response because for you to mimic my response, it would have to have equal explanatory power and equal simplicity, right? And it clearly doesn't have an explanatory power because it doesn't give as good of an explanation for why the fine tuning exists. Right, and then that's when you shift it over to like, oh, the universe can be a natural explanation, and I can just mimic your response, which was sort of reaffirming the claim I denied. But regardless, I provided the defeat of that by saying that.
Okay, now I remember. All right, so you said that an intelligent designer implies like an intelligent creator, right? And then I just said, well, like, why should we think that intricate parts, like complex things that are made up of space matter, that kind of thing? Why should we think that those imply an intelligent designer? And it seemed like you just kept on like repeating the claim that I was like asking for an argument for.
I didn't repeat anything. I didn't repeat any claim. Like I already gave justification for this. That was actually one of the first things that we went over. So I don't know why you're going back to this.
Oh, because I thought you just like brought it up.
Well, yeah, because I'm bringing it up because your explanation for the universe doesn't factor in that clear implication, right? So it doesn't have equal explanatory power. That doesn't mean I'm bringing it up as in to justify it again. Look, we already went over.
Your argument is just like supposing that we should have this, or there is this fine tuning to begin with, right? And I'm just saying, like, why should we think that?
Yeah, we already went over this, and I already explained it. You already jumped ships, moved on to a different point, and I was like, okay, sure, correct.
Like, wait, so why should we suppose that there's this fine tuning?
That's just asking the same question for the third time. Like, we already went over this. Like, I gave justification for this, my friend.
You did? Like, what was the argument?
I mean, if you didn't hear, then I don't know. I don't know to tell you. Like, I'm not going to go through and circle back on all these points.
Yeah, I don't think he had an argument. I mean, Did anyone
Because
else hear his
you
argument?
admit, okay, how about this?
How
If
about we
it's
like
the
go
case
through
that
everyone in the VC like right now and see if anyone else like heard your argument? Hey Noah, did you hear his argument?
I don't think we have to appeal to people
Noah,
in
did you
VC that
hear
are
his argument?
quite.
Are you talking
I
about his
don't think
argument about Yeah, I heard his
Noah, did
argument.
you hear his argument?
Not towards the goal, no.
Right. Okay. Mr. Backen, did you hear his argument?
No, I was low-key smoking. I didn't hear that shit.
Uncle Ruckus, did you hear his argument?
About
the fine tuning.
Monkeyboy, did you hear his argument?
No, but why
Did
are you
you
like
define-
arguing?
Monkey boy he wasn't here. Like I clearly just joined. I just seen him in VC just joined. So
Okay.
like I said,
Probably 10 or so minutes ago.
Yeah, I've been
we
here for
we
about-
and also
But
obviously
Turnz,
if I've
why are
been
you
mentioning
arguing
the
so bad?
fine tuning the whole
Like no, like there's so much things you could have like objected to.
yeah. Most things.
I just wanted to go for like the funniest like objection that I could like possibly conjure up.
come on, Turnz, let's be real. Come on, let's be real.
Like the funniest thing, like I mean,
There's-
stalking horse
there's
objections
so
are just like the
much
most fun.
issues you're doing.
Look, if I was like seriously, like very seriously debating right now, I would just like make him like formalize the argument, and then I would like go through it each and every turn like systematically. Then I would, I mean, that's probably what would be happening.
Well, for one, I would just be
I don't
like,
think
I
that
don't have
would
to,
work.
I would be like, for one, I don't have to formalize an argument to make an argument. Most people don't formalize all their arguments that they make.
Like, well, it can be
And
presented
so
in
I would
natural
just,
language. It doesn't really matter about formalization.
yeah. So that's
You
like
just have to
majority of
deploy an
people are gonna
argument. Turnz was
put it
just
in natural
claiming
language.
he didn't hear an argument presented by you.
Well, the whole time I've been bringing up the fact that fine tuning is a factor, and then like now he wants to ask me that I justified it. Like did I justify it? Like
Wait.
no.
Look, all I remember is like I asked you earlier on, like
Wait,
why
so
is
you're
fine
arguing
tuning-
that the
why
universe
should, okay,
is-
why should we think that like in virtue of something being a low chance that it's fine tuned? And you kind of just kept on like restating what I was asking.
I wasn't saying that in virtue of it being low chance it's fine tuned. I was saying the intricacy of the parts, right?
You really said that. Now
No,
you're
but
actually like being into like.
I didn't even say the words in virtue, my friend. Like I didn't
Wait,
say
I
in
didn't-
virtue.
said that it's unlikely
Yeah.
to come about, right? Then that's why intelligent
Something
design.
I'm not understanding.
not
is-
intelligent design.
I'm not clear if this MK dude like presumably undertakes the view that like God is a mind, right? And if that's just the case, it would just seem that he can just like have like infinitely many conceptual models of a universe he can decide to deliberate on the manifestation of. And if that's the case,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just gonna
that's
be
also what I brought
highly
up. Yeah.
unlikely. In fact, first of all, if he's a mind, we understand that deliberation is going to be some inferential transition from motivations, right? So now you're going to need to appeal to some motivation, right? And now if you either say something like he has it innate or brute, or there is going to be some form of like,
Okay, Monkey Boy.
yeah.
So basically, I just said like does God have free will? And he kind of just said like, oh, under this argument, like I don't think so. And he tried
I
to,
didn't say. No, that's not what I said. I said that you can say he has free will or he doesn't. It doesn't matter. If you're posing some issues with free will, then sure, he doesn't have free will. But if there's no issues with free will, he can have free will or be determined. All I'm saying via the argument is that God is essentially just going to be the mind that created the
Oh,
universe.
well,
right?
that's just going to entail necessitarianism if God is not.
yeah, I
physical.
also brought that up.
I don't.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
was
know
I could bite the bullet. I was talking about I
but
can
then-
bite
yeah,
the bullet
okay, yeah.
on real quick. I can bite the bullet on the argument. That doesn't undercut the validity of it. Like
Yeah, no one said that there's like an issue with like the form of the argument. So
Yeah,
it
wait, but that wasn't an
undercuts like
argument,
the
that was just,
motivation
like-
for it. Like, for instance, like if you want to suppose necessitarianism to explain these things, I can also be a necessitarian. I could just mimic like what you're doing if you think that's an
yeah,
explanation.
but it doesn't. I already pointed out how that doesn't work.
Why not?
I you know, if you have, look, dude, I'm not trying to be a dick, right? If you have amnesia, then I can't help you. Like, I quite literally said
Wait,
this.
just say it one more time or something.
But if you're just
Right.
positing that God is like non-agential, right? He doesn't have, or rather, he doesn't have free will, and it's just going to be the case that the outcome of like the consequence of this manifestation of this specific model of a universe is necessary. Then what the atheist can do is just eliminate that extra baggage of ontological economy and say that the universe is still necessary without the commitment of the ontological deity that you're proposing.
No, the universe, no, you can't, doesn't work because there are issues with saying that,
Because if you're going to say God's necessary and he doesn't have free will, then God is still going to be like super fine-tuned himself.
super
He's
fine-tuned in
necessarily
what way?
fine-tuned. Well, he's going to be
No, actually,
necessarily
you said that
fine-tuned in the way
Wait,
in
wait,
which...
wait, super, well, you'd have to equivocate on the word fine-tuned because we wouldn't be talking about fine-tuning in the same instance, right?
Wait,
So
what
my
what
whole
would
thing
be
is
the
that you're not going to be able to pause it, or pause. You're not going to be able to pause a naturalistic explanation,
Wait.
right? Because it immediately presupposes an infinite regress.
Wait, first of all, there's
mean,
no,
that's not
I don't
true.
I don't really see first how the theist hypothesis dissolves or disarms this like infinite regress issue, but I don't even see how an infinite regress is an issue.
Well, the whole thing of an infinite regress, right, is that if you say that the universe was internal, right, and then time always existed, now you have an infinite chain of events, all in causal relation to each other,
That
and then now you have an
follow.
infinite regress.
First of all, that
Yes, it does.
No. It does.
Well,
Unless
what do you take the universe to be? Because what I take the universe to be is space and time and matter as we know
I
it.
just take it to be space time. Yeah.
If time is, so you understand space and time it has time in it.
That's just gonna be like that's gonna just
So
entail a contradiction, right? If the idea is that there's gonna be a point in time in which time didn't exist, but there's gonna be a moment prior in which God exists, and then manifested time. Time is just understood. It's just synonymous with change. And if there's a
you have to use tenseless verbs. That's not a contradiction. You have to use tenseless verbs, like when talking about prior to time.
I don't
right? Because when I say prior,
after, before, future, past.
Wait, no, prior. Wait, no. Prior is not tenseless. Prior is before.
Yeah,
right, which implies temporality.
That's just going to be like temporal nomenclature.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't know what it means to say that there's a moment before, and that's not talking about time. Like points in time in the past.
A moment before, because when you say there's a moment before, right, it presupposes a point, right, in time, right. So that's why you have to sort of use like tenseless verbs and shit.
But
like,
if
to
you're
describe...
just going to say God is outside time, then it's just going to be a fact that there's not going to be a point in which God exists prior to time, because he's outside time.
Well, not
that's
literally.
Just going to mean that there's not
right?
going to be a point in which the universe is created, right? There's no point in time in which the universe is created. Right? And
that's a problem. That's not to say that it can't literally be the case, but you pointing out via semantics is sort of a contradiction, right?
What's the contradiction?
Just because there's a problem with language, because the contradiction is your language in describing God creating time presupposes right
the
a tense, right?
That's not a contradiction.
No,
wait.
Yes, it is.
Wait, real quick.
That's just a category error on your part.
Wait. I'm sick of being charitable to this person. Look, you're gonna concede that that's not a contradiction. I don't even know if it's a contradiction.
Wait. First off, you're being charitable to me. Wasn't I the person who was literally repeating my position to you a million times? Wasn't I the person who was repeating my position to you because you didn't follow, you didn't remember? You were not charitable to me, my friend.
It's just obvious. It's just obvious to everyone in here. They just didn't have a justification for it.
No one said it's obvious. I've been bringing up Feinstein the whole time. If you have dementia, then that's fine. I don't care.
How about you just tell us the contradiction that monkeyboy committed himself to?
I'm just not.
The contradiction. Yeah. The contradiction is saying time and not time. That's the P and not P.
Wait, where did I say not time?
Yeah, not time was with the.
That's not what you said earlier. That's not what you said earlier. How about you?
No. I was illustrating.
Wait. I said it's a contradiction. I just said it's a contradiction. That's what I said earlier.
Wait, but what? I'm not, so you're claiming that I said there's time and no time?
Mikey, are you recording this?
Oh yeah, well I recorded when you said to record. Before that, no.
Okay, are you still recording this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't look at it.
That's like obviously no one said. He's like backtracking.
I didn't give you understand.
I'm really sick. I'm just so sick.
Wait. I just want to I don't want him to
understand.
I don't want to lose.
Just asked me to.
I'm just so sick of him backtracking.
Hold on, Turnz. Just asked me to give justification for why it's a contradiction. So what are you talking about? I didn't say that.
No. You didn't give the justification. You just purported the contradiction. You didn't derive it, right? So I'm not clear when at any point I
didn't derive. I just said what you did. I just claimed what you did. You said where's the contradiction?
Yeah, but you just said that you justified the contradiction.
It's not a contradiction, right?
Wait, no. I just justified it. You just reported it. I did not. I said I pointed out the contradiction by saying time and not time.
Look, do you think actions are like propositional?
Hold on. When did I say that there's going to be like no time? Unless you're talking about in the instance in which I tried illuminating that your view is going to entail contradiction because there's going to be a point in time and not a point in time, right? Because God's outside time, but there's going to be like a succession of change, which is just going to entail some temporal relation between the relata of the two states of affairs, right? And that's just going to.
Well, I don't know what a relata is. That's just like philosophy jargon. Like I don't really care. That's just
going to be like something in relation, right? Like an explanandum.
You could have just said that, like instead of just saying relata, like no one knows what that is, like. But anyways,
I mean, anyone I talk with does, but like. Okay, that's
just a more precise word.
Whatever. The whole thing that I'm trying to say is that if we're talking about a sense in which there's no time, you using a word that says there's time is a contradiction. That's saying time and not time.
What do you mean? You're invoking the before notion, which is temporal. Unless you can give me.
No. When you say prior is temporal term. It's a tense term. It has a clear meaning that conveys before.
Yeah, and that's the issue with your position. You're the one who's claiming that God is outside time but manifested time. So there's a point in which time didn't exist that God manifested, but then there isn't.
I can just take
a contradiction for your view, not mine.
Wait, hold on. I can just take William Lane Craig's argument that God enters time when creation.
Wait, so to be clear, there is a contradiction.
So
trying to, like,
so
trying
if
to like
God,
rat your way out of it. Just
I'm
to be
not.
clear.
I never said there was. First off, we're not going to talk about how you guys are both. Hold on. We're not going to talk about how you guys are both like literally jumping me.
To be clear, when you try and invoke like William Lane Craig's response, are you trying to like rat your way out of the contradiction?
How is that ratting?
I never said that. I was asking the question.
Listen,
You said. Wait, pause. There's a clear implication that if
like a yes or no.
if I am saying William Lane Craig's shit, then I am ratting. Is that true?
Because it's a yes or no question.
Yes,
asking if you were trying to do that.
Wait, but I'm not clear. I'm not clear on what you mean by God enters
Wait,
time at creation, right? That's just going to mean
the whole thing that I'm talking about is that
presumably, if there's a point in which God enters, there's a point prior where he's not he doesn't have entry to time, right? So it doesn't. It's still that doesn't seem to dissolve the issue at all.
What sense?
What do you mean? In what sense?
When you say prior, what are you conveying there?
Yeah, you're saying that God enters time as the universe is created. So that's gonna either that means that God already existed and then the universe came into existence and God entered time, right? And if that seemingly on that like view,
where does that imply that the universe already existed?
What do you mean? No, that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying presumably there's no issue with me being an atheist, right? Because that's motivations for atheism.
Well, there's no moral issue. Well, I guess unless you're someone.
Look, I can just say God that
moral issue with you being an atheist.
There's not going to be an infinite regression on the hypothesis of a universe. I don't even see how that follows.
No, yes, it is, because you understand. You understand time is going to be a thing that you're including as a factor as in the universe always existing. So if it is the case that the universe always existed, then that means time.
Wait, it's going to be eternally encompassing time, but it's not going to be the case that there's going to be an infinite set of points in time, right? It could just be the case that for infinitum there's a singularity, and that at point X it then expanded, right? And that's doing the exact same work as you are with like your God worldview, right?
Are you talking about an infinite regress with a beginning?
I don't know where you're getting an infinite regress from what I just said.
I'm asking.
No, I'm saying there's going to be a singularity, and there's not going to be any moments prior.
Any moments? There's going to be a singularity.
Well,
and
first of all, there's going to be two
prior.
issues, right? Because I don't know what it means to say there's like an event, because I understand an event to be spatial temporal. But even excluding that,
yes.
So in the sake in which we can understand God, like and events, right? It's still just going to be the case that there's just going to be a point in which there's no time prior to the universe, right? Because if at the point of the singularity we understand time as a change of state of affairs, and let's presume that states of affairs are intelligible at a point of a singularity, then seemingly it's just going to be the case.
I would reject that definition. Hold on, I would reject that definition.
What definition?
It's not. The definition is not going to be the change in state of affairs.
So what do you mean?
It's just going to be like. Yeah, time is just going to be like the causality, right? You know what the principle of causality is?
First of all,
causality, Earlier on,
causality is not a principle.
I just want to be clear here. Wait, real quick, monkeyboy. I want to be clear here that he's actually like pivoting on he's changing what specifically his original definition of time was. His original definition, he agreed with you. I just wanted to be clear on that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, did he not agree to time being a measurement of change?
Yeah, he did.
And also, I don't know what it means.
I don't know who all these like dudes are, but like people are about to get muted because I'm not going to let this 3v1 happen. Right, so
time is like change. Right?
I don't know what it means to say there's like non-temporal causation.
It seems like you don't know what it means. It's like half the stuff I'm saying. If you misunderstand, if you don't understand, that's completely fine.
First of all, there's going to be like so many models of causation, right? I would be sympathetic towards like David Lewis's view, in which there's going to be like counter possible worlds, right? And in that view, there's just going to be what it means for there to be causation is that there's going to be a set of nomology, and given some set of antecedent, it would necessitate the outcome or some consequent that is going to be inferable from that antecedent, right? And under that,
I don't think that's relevant to what I was saying, but you can keep.
Well, first of all models of causation I know are just going to turn on this view because they adhere to time, right? It's going to be
Okay, so why do I need to give a specification to what causality is? Like,
well, you're arguing that it doesn't have to be a temporal notion; it could just be a causal notion, and I understand a causal notion to be temporal.
Wait. Temporal is just simply the relation between causal events.
I don't know what that means. First of all, I'm not even inclined to saying causation exists.
I don't really care. I don't really care. Like, whether you're solipsist, we'd be talking about the perception of causal events.
No one's talking about solipsism. I don't even know how you like.
Well, you said it could exist outside, so I assumed that you were talking about outside the mind, outside the mind. And I'm pretty sure you're an epistemic nihilist.
I didn't say anything about outside.
Well, maybe that's my misunderstanding, or maybe you just don't remember what you said. But regardless, what is your position?
What my position on what exactly? I'm an atheist. If that's what you're asking.
No. I'm talking about pertaining to causality. Like, what do you think?
I'm sympathetic. Yeah, well, I'm sympathetic towards an anti-realist view of causation, but in the best understanding model of causation that I would be inclined or have some level of credence towards, as said, is going to be David Lewis's account, which, as far as I've read, all the models of causation I've read are going to be parasitic upon time. I don't know what it means to say there's non-temporal causation. Right.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I can convey what I mean by temporality.
Because the issue,
my idea of
I just want to get it clear, because earlier you said that you're just going to diffuse the position by denying the semantics of change or time as change, right? And that's not going to be interesting, right? As long as I hold this semantic content in reference to the invocation of the term like time, right? Just change. Under that view, would you like be willing to concede that you're like view like flunks? Because of course you can just like diffuse any position by changing the semantics of a term to which it's not going to like disarm your view, right? And that's just not going to be interesting.
Well, I'm not here to dissect your position. I mean, you joined VC. I really don't care about what you think. No offense. I'm just talking about what my idea of temporality is, which is just going to be simply the relation between cause and effects, right? And then when we talk about change,
I don't really understand.
Hold on. Typically, when we're talking about change, we're just going to be talking about like energy going from one state to another. That's literally the principle of causality. So when people talk about change, right, they're not talking about every possible notion of what it could mean to change. They're talking about matter and energy going from one state to another.
I'm going to say two things. First, on that account, it doesn't seem by your lights of that understanding of causation that there's just going to be a change in energy, right? And if a singularity is just going to be like a point particle of energy, it's not gonna be endowed with change until cosmic inflation is reached. So there's not going to be points prior to the singularity, right? So that kind of just like articulated my position for me, and is like once again the motivations for my view of atheism, right? But on the other hand,
I don't see how that articulates your position in any capacity.
Okay, well, I guess maybe that's just like an issue on your behalf of conceptual impoverishment, but that's not really relevant.
It could be, or you could just be using like these jargonistic, ambiguous terms to try to convey like your
I don't know what
weird
I said.
position.
I don't know what I said that was like ambiguous. But
like everything? Like I'm pretty sure I'm not the same person. I'm not the only person who said that about you. Like you also said the same exact thing.
Wait, just like
I don't really listen. To be honest, I don't really care about the opinions of any of these fictional debaters.
Well, that's cool. Well, I'm sure that's why you don't. You're unclear on like where the jargon is.
Well, if something's unclear, you can just if there's something unclear, you can just address it to me.
Yeah, just give an example.
Or have me like re-articulate whatever I said that may have not been transparent to you, right? Because I'm not trying to like blow you over on my position just being like enigmatic, right? I'm trying to convey like a cogent, clear, transparent argument. And I'm not here to just like bamboozle you.
An example is that you're talking about enigmatic. What is enigmatic? Like, was that necessary? Like if you took that word away from the sentence, would your sentence fail to convey what you're trying to say?
I literally gave multiple terms to express the same thing. So if it's unclear, because apparently specific terminology is hard for you to actually capture the meaning of my expressions.
Wait, my bad. So now you're just spamming tautologies. So that's even more ambiguous.
How's that more ambiguous?
So not
also saying three of the same words. Wait, saying three of the same words in one instance doesn't make me like spamming tautologies, right? This is like the only instance of that, right?
You said that's how you were conveying your speech, so I assumed it was happening more than once.
Okay, well, I don't know why you would make that assumption, but listen, all this meta garbage is not of interest to me either, right? So I just want to get back to like the subject matter and the substance of the discussion, right? So I'm just not clear if, since you're taking this alternate view or semantic thesis of what you mean by time, all I want to know is, on my account of time, do you concede that your position fails, right? I can listen. I don't even want to say your view is cogent. I didn't have a clear understanding of your causal view, but so I'm not gonna like say I understood that, or I'm gonna grant that, right? But I just want to know, on my account of change being time, do you concede your position fails?
Well, your idea
that's a yes or
of time
no.
is just going to be simply. Well, hold on. I'm trying to reiterate the position, so I can give you an actual answer to the question, right? Unless you want me to just answer without even knowing properly knowing what you conveyed, right? So your idea of time is just going to be like, it's just simply change, like change in any way, right? Yes, no,
Sorry,
maybe so.
I thought that was redundant. Yeah, change.
Okay. So you're basically saying
I'm
God.
not like excluding degrees of like change, right? Any state of a change is like a temporal transition.
Yeah, so you're trying to say that at the when God creates the universe, right? He essentially I'm trying to remember what you were saying specifically. You said when God creates the universe, he wasn't in time before because there was no change before. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, you're saying that there's a point in time in which God didn't exist, and he was the beginning to the creation of the universe. So there's a point prior in which time didn't exist, and then God manifested time. But time is understood as the change of a state of affairs. So if there's a point in which God existed prior to time, that's just going to mean that there's a moment of time, right? Because if he's going from A to B, that transition is temporal, right? Because that's the change of two state of affairs, right? From A to
God
B.
isn't changing.
That's not what I'm asking.
God.
And
Wait,
what
so
what
like,
does that mean? Do you believe God doesn't like do actions? Is it not the case he acts in some instance and not in others?
yeah, but I think when we be talking about acting, we'd be speaking metaphorically, right? Because typically when we see acting, we're speaking in physics terms, like physical terms,
so
right?
let's say
and if
hypothetically,
it's the case that God is,
let's say hypothetically, I get baptized, and in virtue of that, God wants to like give me a prize of like the lottery ticket. So, seemingly 10 years ago, it's not the case that I won that lottery ticket. So there's going to be some change in state of affairs for me. So I don't know what it means to say that God didn't undergo change.
well,
in that instance.
here's the thing.
Because seemingly he didn't answer my prayer, or that prayer wasn't even a thing. So like 10 years ago.
Okay, so there's two perspectives to answer the question. So, for one, there's the perspective, right, from someone who's outside of time. That means essentially everything seems to actualize at once, right? But not literally at once. But sort of from God's perspective, it's like one little moment, right, where like sort of everything occurs, right? Sort of like just a big flash and then black, right? And then like there's the perspective from someone who exists in some sort of temporal point, right?
Wait,
They're going to be
there's
like,
a point
okay,
in which all actions, like the aggregate of actions that can be undertaken by God, had been like exhausted, then that just means after that point, God is not doing anything, right?
Well, we don't know. I don't know. Like
but
we don't. I'm not going to make a strict. I'm not going to make a strict claim.
It's just it's a like closed question, right? Because if you, like you said, the actuality of all actions, like the actualization of all actions he could do, is in a point in time, then that means there's not going to be any cardinality of natural numbers of actions that are outside that set. So there's not going to be actions after that point in time.
I don't see how that follows.
What do you mean? So if that point encapsulates all instances God acts, then the point after would not contain a point in which God acts, because the initial point contained all of those points.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I understand what you're saying. I would disagree, because that one point is just going to contain the temporality that he actualizes. And I know I'm going to use a tense term to refer to that, but it's hard. We have to speak metaphorically, right? So,
and you
God,
believe God's not an agent, right? Or do you believe it is?
Like, are you talking about actual views or like by my shit I'm talking about in this debate?
Your actual view. You believe he's agential?
Agential as in like having free will?
Yeah, he has a mind, yeah, and that... Sure, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a Christian. I don't have justification for the position, but...
Okay. Well then, if it's the case, God is a mind, and we understand minds as having or like dogmatic attitudes, or like these hypothetical imperatives, in which are just going to be some norm that guides, or it's going to be action guider for an aim God has. It's going to be...
Hold on, are you shifting the argument?
What do you mean, am I shifting the argument?
Because this seems like a different point than we were just on about temporality.
Oh, well,
if you want to bring up a new point, that's fine.
This is the point from actuality, right? And if you're saying there's a point in which all events are actual, right? And all I'm trying to get from this point, which is just going to be in delineation with the past point of like the actuality, is what is going to actually manifest God's desire. Right?
Okay,
And
so
if you're just going to say
depends on your view. It depends on your view because people like William Lane Craig thinks that. Well, I don't have any strict positions on these because I haven't really talked about it. But I mean, I would probably, if I had to choose a position, I'd probably hold to like what William Lane Craig says, like that basically the actualization of the universe is just like one single intuition of God, right?
I don't really know what it means. That means, right? Because I mean, I guess that just depends on how you cash out intuition.
You said what?
I guess that's just gonna depend on how you cash out intuition.
Cash out as in define?
Yeah.
Intuition. I don't want to say instinct, but I think it's a very strict. You wouldn't say like an instinct implies something determined, right?
Well, I'm not necessarily clear what you mean instinct. I would take an instinct under my lights to just be something like some psychological disposition.
Yeah, so I'd probably just say like it'd be almost like an intuition, right? It would be like sort of like an instinct thought.
Well, seemingly if God has intuitions, which just means that he has like psychological dispositions, which are just going to mean that his phenomenological states are going to stimulate specific behavior, then that's just going to mean that God is going to be within time, because there can't be a moment in time in which he's not endowed with some phenomenological state in which would stimulate some response. If that's what you mean.
you gotta lay that out in layman terms, because like half those terms I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
okay, well, phenomenological disposition is just going to be the way one perceives the world, right? And given some acquaintance within some state of affairs, and the set of conditions within that state of affairs is going to determine the way they might behave, right? And it's going to like limit the range of actions that agent undertakes within that state of affairs.
I don't really think that matters. Like usually, even if you're talking about the Christian God.
Look, I'm fine with like elucidating the idea why it matters, right? Because if it's the case, God is endowed with these like psychological dispositions, which is just going to mean he's going to depend on phenomenological states to stimulate actions, then it's just going to be the case that God is going to need to be necessarily contained within time for which he can have stimulation. And there's going to need to be something external to him that stimulates.
When you say contained in time, I don't know in what sense you're saying that it's going to contain in time.
That which time works on.
Would that apply? Do you think that apply if, like, I just said, okay, God is just going to be like this complete mind, right? And then he just he has this intuition that brings about the universe, right? And that's going to be entailed through his nature, right? So is what you're just saying. Nature, an example of nature is going to be like omnipotence, omnibenevolence, omniscience. I'm not saying it's going to be one of those, right?
That's not what I'm asking for, because like examples are exemplification. It's going to be underdetermined. What I need is an analysis of the meaning of the expression of these specific things. Like I don't know what it means to say he has a nature. I'm going to need like an analysis.
Like essence, like something that's going to be like an essence. It's going to be like.
It's going to be. So when you say it's a part of his nature, it's just a part of his essence.
Yeah, like it's going to be like some intrinsic quality, right?
Well, now that's going to depend on you making an argument that the entity that which exists has these essential features.
Well, yeah, but we're just talking about we're talking about an internal critique in which like the hypothetical being exists, right? Unless you want to run to an external critique and then ask for the justification for the existence of this person with that nature.
Well, I'm just simply putting it out there on the forefront that it's just going to be. Now you're going to need to do even more work against the atheists to explain the exact same thing, right? And that's just going to be more motivation.
I don't really think it matters. Like, I mean, like, to be honest, if we're talking about explanatory power, I mean, I don't think the whole thing about the atheist view, I think it has far more issues than the stuff with...
If you can, like, name a few.
The issues is going to be, like, via, like, my view on time, and like how you can have an infinite chain of events all in cause relation to each other.
And it's like also it doesn't have.
Hold up, I'm not. You just asked me.
I don't want to go one at a time. I mean, I don't want to go like all at a time. I'm fine with like you stating one, and then once we like.
Wait, real quick. For the record.
You guys are wearing me out because I debated some dude before Turnz for like a cool minute. So I might have to just disengage just from a fucking headache. If you guys want to continue tomorrow, maybe we could. Like.
Yeah, but I just wanted to point out for the record, atheists don't have to commit to the view that there is an infinite chain. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't understand
they
how
can.
that's gonna be
That's why
like a
this argument
corollary of
works until.
atheism.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, so that
Wait, real
was
quick,
what I was
real quick.
explaining.
In fact, I
Wait, real
explained
quick.
how my view actually would like extinguish that
Wait, so-
possibility.
I don't
So
think
that's
you're
why.
ruled that out.
Real quick. Yeah, so that's why. I mean, when you say like your view is going to be more explanatory than an atheist view, it doesn't really seem like that's the case if atheists don't have to commit to that, which is what I was saying earlier with stalking horse objections.
Yeah, but the whole thing is about talking about explanatory power in respect to the fine tuning, right?
I don't know, like, how does that respond to what I just said about like atheism? It's not entailed from atheism that there's an infinite chain or infinite like regression of events.
Well, if your view on the naturalistic or one ultimate cause being the universe itself, and the universe being space and time, and time being eternal because it's part of the infinite universe, then yes, that the infinite regress comes as baggage.
You keep building into this idea, this notion that the universe is like infinite. Right? You're saying that the universe has infinite time, right? And I don't understand where you're getting this duration of infinite time.
Is the part of the universe time?
Look, whatever you're saying, like,
I don't want to run from this conversation. I don't want to run from this question. I don't want to run from this question.
Just let him ask this question.
So if we have the universe, do we have time?
I'm not really sure what the universe is supposed to mean.
Well,
the universe.
The way I understand the universe, yeah, it encompasses
you mean like
space time.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I'm
like,
not sure if that's how I would like maybe like the totality of everything that exists or something.
Hold on. Given that, so via what you're saying, Monkey Boy, is that given that we have the universe, we'll have time.
Given that we have time, we have time. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, no shit. You're just
no.
Wait,
the universe.
But I already explained this. Look, on my view.
Are you not saying a trivial thing?
Wait, hold on.
Given X, we have X. Okay.
Well, look, on my view, the universe at its initial point was just a singularity, right? So it has no spatial extension in which it can like fluctuate until the moment of expansion, right? So all moments prior, the singularity endures no change. So there's
also, I wanted to say.
Okay, I know what you're saying. So you're not saying infinite, because my understanding is you're calling the singularity the universe.
Yeah, I take that to be the universe. It's just gonna be it at its.
Yeah, that's just colloquial. That's colloquial, like a colloquial definition of the universe. It's not actually the universe, not the definition.
I'm not defining it to be a singularity.
I'm just
saying that's going to be a shape of it, or like a state in which the universe was. I take it that the universe is just encompassing space and time.
The universe is known as the universe in the collection of all matter and energy as we know it today. Like, that is the universe. It's not the thing that the period that exploded. Right, so when you're saying universe,
I don't know. Well, there's no explosion, for clarity.
Okay, wait. So you don't think it expanded from a singularity?
Expansion isn't explosion.
Yeah, but typically people use the word.
If I fill a water balloon with water and it expands, it's not exploding. That doesn't even seem coherent.
Yes, but typically people like to use the word explode.
Well,
I know
the way the folk use it, right? And the folk have a lot of radical and retarded views, right? And I don't see why to
so I'm just using it in a normal sense. Like, I'm just using normal language. Well, obviously, you don't have to get hung up on semantics that I don't care about.
Okay.
Hey, I had a question, MK. Why can't the naturalists commit to the view that the universe had a first cause?
I didn't say that.
Okay, so it's not entailed, right? From
if something being natural, it means that being the universe, right? Then I don't think you're going to be able to commit to it.
Why not?
The universe isn't. Well, first of all, I don't have a strong view on naturalism. I find it to actually be unclear given what natural is defined as, right? But I take it that on the naturalist view, it doesn't like inherently say the universe is just defined to be nature, right? That nature is a substance that which the universe is subsumed under, right? So there could be a prior natural entity that can manifest the universe as well.
That's kind of what I was going to ask Turnz before, like before you clarified that the natural is just going to be something like the universe, because like if something's uncaused, I'd be unclear on like what about it would make it natural. Like, is anything natural just opposed to like some theistic cause? Like, but anyways, the ambiguous of naturalism is relevant.
Look, okay, so like you can be an atheist and commit to the view that there's a first moment in time, right? So your argument isn't even against atheism.
I don't know how many times I explained this, right? If there's no point prior to the singularity, right? There's no change from the state of the singularity until it was a preliminary afterwards, right? In which it then expanded, right? So there's just that. So the singularity, the first moment in time is just the moment in which it began to expand, right? That's the first moment of change. So the singularity can be eternal and still be past infinite, which just means that the past is not infinite, or past finite.
I mean, I don't really like care about the whole like singularity
But
shit.
you
I don't think it
understand
addresses the fine tuning.
But you
I don't
understand
think
on my
it addresses
semantic
your-
thesis, my like position flourishes.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't, because it doesn't
Wait.
address the fine tuning.
What's the argument? Wait, what's the issue? Wait, I don't understand. What's the issue of the position of the universe being past finite?
Well, I didn't say the issue is the specific issue is it being
Well,
past
you said
finite.
that. Well, you
The
said my
problem with the position is
position
that
doesn't flourish.
hold on. No. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that I'm like leveraging the past being finite as justification
No,
for
that's
it
not
not
what I meant to
flourishing.
imply. I'm just saying, what's the issue of my past finite universe theory?
Well, for one, I don't think you're using the term universe correctly.
Wait, wait. You take language to be normative?
I don't know what that means.
Correctly is a normative expression.
Try and keep it linear. Try and keep it linear.
Yeah, that's probably gonna like make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's.
I
Yeah,
didn't
so
hear it.
I don't.
You have to be linear with this guy because like he'll
Yeah.
try
So
and, like,
I don't think there is such thing as correctness to language. Right. That's called a normative expression.
Well, I don't care. You can make up words and meanings. I don't care. I'm
mean,
just gonna follow the consensus. That's how language works. Like,
presumably,
if you want to define, I mean, to be honest, I don't really care, because at the end of the day, I can define an apple on the table as God and say God exists, like, and then you lose.
No, that wouldn't be a loss, right? Because under my schematic, what I interpret to be God is going to be an entirely different notion, right? So if we're disagreeing on God, and entirely it's a semantic dispute, which is just going to mean the expression, or the semantic contents of the expression have the exact same phonology, which is going to be the same mouse sound, right? They both express God, yet they both have entirely different notions, right? Like, it's like me disputing whether this dude's shirt is like some tone of color orange, or is like it's a nice orange shirt, but really it's like an orange shirt that has the image of an orange, right? And we're speaking past each other.
I get the point. I get the point. So are you a broad atheist, meaning you think every possible God does not exist, and then, or are you a strict atheist that some?
I don't even know. Well, listen. The term God is just like
wait, monkeyboy. Wait, do you mind if I just?
Right, like anyone can say anything is God. So I don't know what it means to say I deny all gods, because unless you mean like some specific like subsumption of models, which are going to be like things that create the universe, it's not entirely clear to me that I would reject every view of gods, right? Like pantheistic views just want to say what God is the universe, right? But presumably on that account, I am not even going to be, I don't even think that's pragmatic. Like I don't think that captures my meaning of God.
Okay, that's fine. So you're not a broad atheist.
I don't think anyone is.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Well, if I said my dog, what I mean by God is my dog, presumably, unless they're like some Cartesian, they have some like radical skepticism or like some perennial skepticism, they're just not going to be like denying that.
Yeah, there are people who are radical skeptics, like, but anyways, that's not the point. Like I was saying, like I don't even think I take the position seriously, because you're not even using terms right. I mean, you're trying to like be like, oh, well, do you think language is
right? When you say right, like when language was first developed, there's not a sense of right and wrong, right? These are just normative, right? There's just like some standard of language that we use for some aim to properly communicate in some sense. But that doesn't make it that there is a correct way of defining a term, right?
Yeah, but when I say the universe can't exist eternally, and then you define something that I don't understand to be the universe, then that's not an objection to my initial claim.
Well, I wasn't. What do you mean? I'm just
same thing.
I wasn't making listen. What I was doing was I was articulating why it's the case, my view in the way I understand universe, in the way I understand time. My thesis flourishes.
I don't think so. Like,
but all you it seems you're just like rejecting the way I instrumentalize specific language, right? And it's just not the case.
Not only that, like my issue was, for one, well, if you want to define the universe as in like a singularity, you're free to do that. That's
no, I didn't define
fine,
it as a singularity. Right? I said that's going to be a form or a state of the universe, right? The universe is
okay. So that is the universe, though. Like,
yeah, but if I say the universe is. If I say the universe is identical with a singularity, then presumably the universe doesn't exist at this point in time because there isn't a singularity.
Wait,
that's what I'm saying. My understanding of universe is going to be like diachronic, and it's going to be inclusive to some like procedure.
Yes, I know. So you define the singularity as the point of the universe, but you also can't deny that you're also saying that's the universe. But when you say after the expansion of the singularity, when you talk about the universe, you actually mean the universe in a different sense, in a sense that after the expansion, right? So you just basically
What do you mean?
equivocate on the term universe.
What do you mean? Wait, senses and reference are different. It's the same referent.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
how's
like
it
if I
relevant?
talk about Clark Kent and Superman, those are two different senses, right? One can say Superman's flying, and that's going to be like tautological to Clark is flying, but they might not have the epistemic, they're not going to probably have that epistemic content that it is the case that Clark is Superman, right? So there's going to be different senses to expressions that are
Well, it
tautological.
depends on what you mean by is. Like, it depends what you mean by
I
is, right?
I just did, right? I just told you that is expresses a sense identity.
A sense of identity. Now, how is
No, a
that?
sense
How is that
identity. It's
relevant?
an identity of sense.
Yeah. So how is that? How is that relevant?
You're talking about the senses, the two senses of the universe, right? But they're the same referent, right? They're the same thing that just have different senses. Everything has different
Wait,
senses.
in what way are they the same? Because typically, when we say same, we're talking about identity wise.
Yeah, I take it that they're the exact same thing.
Yeah. But so, okay, if they're the exact same thing, then the universe that you're saying after the singularity expands is a singularity.
No, wait. I don't take an absolutist view of like time, right? I'm not a Leibnizian about identity. I mean, I don't know why I said time.
Please
I mean,
stop the terms.
Listen,
Come on,
so
bro, like-
Leibniz' view of identity just means what it is called absolute identity. And his view of what it means for something to be identical with another thing is that for every property of Y, X has coextensively or co-equally, right? But that's not my view because that...
I understand with this. I understand the whole descriptivism shit. Like,
no, that's not an issue of descriptive. I mean, I guess in some sense...
Yes, it is.
No, because there can be... Because descriptivism is only going to be... Like, it's not going to be clear that you can describe abstraction. Right?
Yeah, but the whole thing, you're trying to say that... You're trying to say that these things are the same, right? And they have the same term, correct?
Yeah, it's in the same way that when I get a tan and a haircut and grow taller, I endure time, but I'm like descriptively different. Right? It's just it's called relative identity.
I would say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called relative identity. It's called relative identity. Sorry, what the hell? It's called relative identity. It's just a diachronic view that just means it's a way we capture identity over time, in which at two points in time there can be the same thing that are radically different.
Look, I don't hold to descriptivism. I'm fine with the whole relative identity shit. But there is a point in which some people be like, okay, well, this thing changed so much that it's no longer the thing that we were initially calling it, right? Like, let's say we ripped monkeyboy's soul out of his body, right? A lot of people believe that the soul is like a fundamental aspect of what makes monkeyboy, right? So you wouldn't call like the corpse, right, absent of the soul necessarily monkeyboy, right? And don't bring up dying. I'm talking about in the sense that it's not dying, but you still lose a soul.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't capture I'm not even clear what any of that was.
The whole thing is right. Is when we're talking about descriptions, right? Or relative identity, right? There can be something that changes so much to the point that you no longer call it that same thing. Like, let's say I have a banana, and then somehow this banana shifts into an apple, right? I'm not going to be still calling it a banana, even though it changed over time, right? I'm going to be calling it a banana because it basically took on the features of banana, right? And it meets the qualification. So while I can hold to relative identity, but I would say if something changes so much, right, like a singularity to the entire universe as we know it, I wouldn't be comfortable with using the same term to describe.
There's going to be an issue, right?
Real quick. Do you even know what relative identity is? Because like it solves those sorts of issues. You know that, right?
I don't think so. I really don't.
Like
you should probably just read Peter Geach's work on that. But
total terms, right?
That's not going to matter because the idea is what you're saying is that it's going to be so radically different in which it's not going to be the same. And I can agree with you in some sense, right? Like if I burn a paper and it turns to ash, and then that ash becomes nutrient or in some soil or something, right? It makes such an exchange in which the entity doesn't hold the identity it did prior. But the issue with time, or I mean the universe is the substance. It's the basis of the totality of physical and, I guess, presumably immaterial elements if you think minds are immaterial, which I would be inclined to, right? So in that notion...
Wait, pause. You hold to the mind immaterial? Because I feel like that poses some very, very big issues.
Well, I said I'm sympathetic towards the view, right? Under how you catch...
Okay, wait, no, Mark, we need to talk about that later then.
Yeah,
I thought you said you hold to it, but okay.
Yeah, that's not pertinent now. So...
Whatever.
Yeah. Wait, Monkey Boy, do you mind if I try and steer the topic back into what it was like what it was like earlier.
Yo,
Well, I
you
think
might
we're-
have to steal this,
I think we're going
tomorrow,
fine, but, like,
because
you can
like
go ahead.
I've been here for like 5 hours, including the debate that I had before the Turnz dude, and on top of the Turnz debate and the Monkey Boy debate. So this is kind of like mentally wearing me down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, bro. Let man take a break.
So if you guys want to can pick this up tomorrow, I'm happy to engage with both of you.
Oh, also, why
Like,
did you ban 2 people I invited?
I didn't ban anybody. If
someone
you're talking about Sebi, if you're talking about the Sebi guy, then he was banned by one of the people with ban perms because they thought that he was one of the people that made an alt account with his same name.
Oh, no,
Like, we thought
I'm
it
not
was
talking
Seb.
about Sebi, and also I didn't even know Sebi ever joined this server. But I'm talking about one dude is named Free. I think. Wait,
Free.
no, Fear. Sorry,
Free.
I don't really know that guy well, but he was asking me to like debate someone. I said I'm in a debate.
No.
But
No, I don't
more
know
importantly, someone
who
named
that is.
Balance. Yeah, don't worry about him. I don't care that much. He's just like some goon who's following me around. But Balance is a
Okay.
friend of mine who also got banned, which I don't know why that is.
Well, I don't know why, but if he was like a condescending asshole who overtalks a lot, then he probably got banned for a reason.
Well, he DM'd me saying he instantly got banned. That he joined in for, he said, not even 5 seconds, and I got banned, and I didn't get a type or anything.
Okay, I don't know anything about that then. Like,
Well, maybe just talk with whatever mod did it and see their explanation or whatever.
yeah, I can look it into it and shit, but like, usually when people get banned, it's because they instantly. It's usually because they made alt accounts when they weren't supposed to be in the server. Because we get that a lot. So
Well, I mean,
he either
Balance
was one of those people
does have a new
or
account.
got mistaken.
Well, it's not technically. Well, Balance does have a new account, but it's because he deleted his old one.
Well, that's fine. I'll look into it. Whatever.
But that was a while ago. So he joined. It's not like he made that for now.
But I guess we can finish this tomorrow if you want. If you want like my main stuff issues with the position, I would say there's a big semantic dispute, and I would say it doesn't seem as parsimonious as the theist shit. As in like maybe like it could be on there on the simplicity
Wait,
end,
but it's
but
making
not like
more.
the explanatory
do you not
power.
think it's making more ontological commitments? How is it like simpler?
I don't see like what are the
Well,
ontological commitments that
presumably you
make it
take it.
different than what.
Well, a radical issue of an ontological commitment is going to be some substance commitment, right? Because you take a God is immaterial or is non-physical, so he's going to be subsumed under a substance that which is immaterial, right? To constitute his being.
Well, I'm an idealist, so it's like kind of.
Wait, what type of idealism? Like, I would presume Berkeleyan, like everything's like a projection of the mind, or like something like a.
Sort of so similar to that. So I've kind of been bouncing back between two different views on idealism. There's like the whole
That's
simulation
weird.
theory idealism, and then there's the whole like analytic idealism that Bernard Castro pioneers.
Well, I think Bernardo Castro, bro, I can't even say his name. Whatever. I haven't read into what arguments you formulated, but as far as I'm aware, with like Berkeleyan view, or in fact, any idealism I've came across hasn't had an argument. So I'm not really clear if like maybe you have an argument for it, or you're just like
There are arguments in Wagon's book for idealism, but he like refutes them. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think those would be like hard.
Yeah, they're not. It's like Descartes, like skeptical scenarios, and there's like,
That's
oh, well,
garbage.
the only thing
I
you're
don't
sure about is your mind.
understand.
And then,
I don't understand why
Yeah.
people still use Cartesian skepticism. It's like garbage.
yeah,
Weren't you an epistemic nihilism not too long ago, Monkey Boy?
No, that was complete LARP. That was in politics, debating people on epistemic nihilism.
I have a question.
I thought you were actually one of those.
I don't even know how you justify a nihilist view. It just seems like
You don't.
retarded nihil. It's just like
Do y'all think
retarded skepticism.
philosophy is better than power scaling in general? Do y'all think that's a better form of debate?
I didn't even hear a word you said besides power scaling and better in general.
Do y'all think that philosophy is better than power scaling in general?
Oh, I'm not a fictional debater, and I think like the fictional com is just like filled with generally like dumb people. I don't see any reason to like power scaling doesn't give you any benefit over any like argumentation. Like I'm to be honest, I can probably ask people here, what do you guys think an argument is, and most of you wouldn't give like an adequate response. Because I doubt any of you. Well, at least maybe not people like MK. He seems more knowledgeable than the folk fictional debater, or maybe not. I don't know, because he seemed like too inclined for like natural language, not even like argument natural language, just like some weird, like you take an argument to be an inference, right? You know what that is, right? MK?
Yeah.
And you understand like rules of inference and truth preservation.
I don't know about truth preservation, but I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with rules of inferences and shit. Like,
okay, well, I mean, at least that's better than like most of these garbage people. So yeah, I mean, philosophy is pretty much everything. Like, if you don't really know philosophy, then like don't even debate, because like I don't know what it means to debate without an argument. And if you don't have an argument, then or know what an argument is, at the least, I don't know what you're actually like doing. Because I understand the debate.
I don't think the knowledge on like maybe this might be connected, maybe it might not be. But I think a real problem with the fictional com is that the problem with like circularity and begging the question unknowingly.
I mean, they just don't know logic, right? So